This is Daddy Show. Step off.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to the program. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. As we do each and every time we hit the airwaves, we will begin this broadcast with the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thank you for your support, and I do mean that. I've gotten several emails, messages, text messages even, with some serious high fives, as DDP would say. And I do appreciate all the good words, all the kind words. We are having fun here on the broadcast. It is something I would like to do a little bit more often, if I'm being honest with you, but as we all know, I'm online 8 days a week doing my thing for various different websites, which I will plug at every opportunity. So when you have the chance, please, folks, BleacherReport.com, JBL's Layfield Report, WhatCulture.com, and of course the Camel Clutch blog. Please check out and support your local pro wrestling writer. I do greatly appreciate it. Remember to vote Tom in 2016. Every vote counts, people. So now the shameless self-promotion has ended. Let's get to the topic at hand. This week's main event. This is a fun one, folks. This is the Stone Cold Effect. Stone Cold Steve Austin, as we all know, is arguably the biggest star in the history of WWE. I say arguably because you've always got somebody out there who's trying to debate the point, who brings up Hogan's name, The Rock, Undertaker. Hard to dispute those guys, right? But for my money, Steve Austin trumps them all. Yes, even Hogan. Why? Because Austin was the top guy in every sense of the word. Okay? He was the best worker. In a company filled with great talent, Austin was head and shoulders. Man, I don't know if I say head and shoulders. But he was, to me, the best hand of the entire bunch of guys. And we're talking some serious talent that was around him. Okay? Again, Rock, Taker, Jericho, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. I mean, we're talking about guys that from top to bottom could work a match lights out. Could entertain on every level. And for my money, Austin was the best of the bunch. So in that way, he was the top guy. Remember back in the day, for you old school wrestling fans out there, and where are my old school wrestling fans at, yo? Holla at your boy. But back in the day, to be the top guy, you had to be the best hand. It was sort of part and parcel to being the top guy. Think about Flair. Ric Flair was to the NWA, in my estimation, what Stone Cold became for WWE. He was the top hand in every way imaginable. He was the best talker. He was the best worker. He was the most entertaining guy in the locker room. And that was not easy. For Rick, it couldn't have been that easy standing next to the other Horsemen, standing next to Dusty Rhodes. Are you kidding me? Rick had his work cut out for him. But again, Rick was the best. 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. You need more proof than that? For me, Austin is one and the same for Vince McMahon's company. He was the top hand, the best guy, the top guy in every sense of the word. Solid on the stick, the best talker they had. And let's bottom line it here, folks. Steve Austin sold more merchandise than anybody else. He sold more tickets. He put more butts in the seats. That's really all that matters. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, folks. Is Steve Austin made more money than anybody else. He made more money for that company than anybody else did. Isn't that all that matters? As pro wrestling fans, we try to dress it up. As pro wrestling analysts, as long-time, lifelong fans, historians of the business, students of the game, as we like to refer to ourselves at times, we like to romanticize the business. We talk about the good old days. We talk about Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. We talk about the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. We talk about the Hart Foundation versus the British Bulldogs, about Austin versus The Rock. We talk about the heritage and the lineage of pro wrestling and all the great, fantastic moments that we witness through the days of the territories, through the 1980s, through the Attitude Era to today. even today. And all that's great. And I'm a fan of the business in every regard. I'm a monster fan of the business. But let's face it, folks, bottom line it. At the end of the day, it's all about making money. If you're a pro wrestling promoter, you're not in the business to make money. You're in the business for the wrong reasons. Oh, you're a fan. Well, congratulations. Now go waste somebody else's time. And trust me, folks, when I tell you, it's not easy to turn a profit, especially on the independent level. It's not. Okay, but if you want to be successful, you need to put the most marketable guys at the front of your company, the ones that will make money for you and either help you, it will hopefully help you turn a profit at the end of the night. Breaking even is great. For a lot of pro wrestling pros out there, breaking even would be awesome. Let's just be honest, all right? But to turn a profit, that's the key. Austin was the money man, okay, by far. His merch still, I don't know for sure, but I would dare say to this day, his merch still is a top seller. I mean, Stone Cold. How could it not? The classic Austin 316 t-shirt. I mean, who else since Austin can lay claim to, the amount of money made, to the star power, to the, carrying the entire company on his back? Go ahead and say the name. It's okay. I'll let you say it. We can agree to disagree, folks. John Cena. Is he the closest thing to Stone Cold Steve Austin that we've had since Stone Cold Steve Austin? And I'm talking about in terms of overall impact on the entire company, being able to carry the entire company on his back. Okay? But here's the thing. The differences between Austin and Cena number. Okay? And there's a lot of them. One of the biggest differences, of course, is work ethic in the ring. Now, before you start slinging mud, just hear me out. Austin came up through the territory system. Austin was seen as one of the best hands in the business long before he ever shaved his head, long before he ever started wearing black, and long before he ever started driving monster trucks to the ring. Stone Cold was considered a top hand in the industry. It's just that every company he worked for, maybe they didn't see it, maybe they did, who knows, but they didn't do enough for him to move him up to the next level, okay? So there's one of the big differences between he and Cena. I don't know that John has ever been looked at in those terms. Now, does that mean I'm bowing down to the plethora of John Cena haters that says he can't work? No, I'm not. But I will say this about Cena, just as sort of a side comment really quick, if I may, that we've been hearing for years about how Cena works the way they want him to. That they don't want John Cena to actually wrestle in a match, okay? They want Cena to roughhouse. They want Cena to brawl. Save me and spare me of that nonsense, okay? Because that is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my entire life. And I've heard, as a pro wrestling fan for a long time, I've heard a lot of crap in my time, but that's one of the biggest stinking loads I've ever heard, that the company doesn't want John Cena to wrestle. Are you kidding me? Nonsense. The fact is, John does not wrestle, okay? Is John a hard worker in the ring? Absolutely. Is John a technician? No way, no chance, forget about it. Could he be? I believe he could, but he doesn't. Because he's under the directive of Vince McMahon. They're telling him to not wrestle. Dude, you know what? Spare me. Save me from that nonsense. I'm not falling for that crap. I never have, never will. John Cena is the face of your company. He's the number one guy. He's the one that everything flows through and flows around. You mean to sit there and tell me that he's encouraged not to wrestle a match? Nonsense. For anybody that thinks that, I feel bad for you. You're highly disillusioned. And you should keep listening, because we're going to help you get better. This is an intervention. We all love you. But is he the closest thing we've had to Austin since Austin? Take out the work ethic and take out the ability in the ring and minus all that out. We're talking about making money. We're talking about representing the company, not just to fans, but to the media, to mainstream pop culture, to everyone around, in and around WWE. Cena is the company, much like Austin was. Can we say that? I mean, I guess I agree with that to a certain extent, but to me, I'm sorry, it's still not the same. Austin can get it done on every level, on every aspect of the game. So what are we talking about here, folks? The name of this main event is the Stone Cold Effect. What are we talking about? In order for us to get to that point, we're going to backtrack just a little bit. So prepare to travel through time, folks. Austin, go nowhere, do nothing. Ringmaster, nonsense, flailing away, doing nothing. WCW told him, supposedly, that with his black boots and his black trunks, that there wasn't a whole lot they could do to market that. Remember that comment? Meanwhile, these were the same morons that thought Glacier was a good idea. Oy vey. Please. I've spent a lot of time since the Monday Night War ended trying to forget about the last days of WCW and all the nonsense they tried to shove down our throats. Meanwhile, they let Austin go. Okay? Fast forward, he gets to WWE. Guess what? He can't find his way in that company either. He's doing nothing. But all that changed. When? King of the Ring, 1996, Austin 3:16 exploded. He uttered the famous words, the first time they were ever spoken. One of the most monumental moments in the history of our business. One of those moments you can look back to and say, there is the career beginning and defining moment for that guy. That caused the biggest explosion that our business has seen in a very, very long time. Okay? Austin 3:16 says. That spawned it all. It started the rise, the meteoric rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He became an icon for a whole new generation of fans that wanted something more. And he made it cool to be a heel. These days, everyone cheers heels, okay? How many people were cheering heels before Austin? Okay, Flair was cheered, the Horsemen were cheered. You know, you would have different guys at different times, but I'm talking about how often has an entire audience, and I mean, we're talking the entire audience. Go back and look at the matches. Go back and look at the crowds. Was there one fan of the audience not on his feet when Austin came out? Was there one guy booing Austin? Are you high? No, of course there wasn't. Stone Cold was the man, by far, period. He was it, man. He was cheered for being a heel long before it ever became cool to do so. Okay? And we're talking about guys that came before him that were considered cool heels. Who are we talking about? Who are the guys that opened the door for Stone Cold? I got two names for you. And to me, both of these guys are the front runners for Stone Cold Steve Austin. The two men responsible for opening the door for Austin to get over, and to get over in a very big way. Two names made it all possible, folks. A.A. Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, is there anybody else? Think about that. The combination of those two guys was just flat out incredible. And that combination was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the hybrid of Jake the Snake Roberts and A.A. Arn Anderson. Give me a better example. Go ahead. Too late. You can't, because there isn't one. There's not one, folks. Anderson and Roberts are the ones that made it possible. I mean, they made it possible for Steve to do his worst and be the absolute best at it. Okay? They really did. Now, in terms of who's Dusty compared to the most, I'm going to throw a name out at you, and maybe you agree, maybe disagree, who knows. Again, as I've said in past episodes, folks, main event's all about debate. I like to open it up. I like to get the conversation flowing, so let's do this, okay? The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty was Stone Cold long before Stone Cold ever existed. Dusty was the common man, the blue-collar worker, the ordinary American guy with a huge heart and the will to win. He fought, and he fought, and he never stopped fighting. And the fans loved him for that, but they also loved him for another very important reason, because they saw themselves in him. When they looked at Dusty, they saw an ordinary guy. As Triple H has said in the past, they looked at Dusty and saw a guy that could be their neighbor, could be the guy that pumped gas down the street, could be the guy that was, well, the plumber. Looked like an ordinary guy. But when somebody tried to mess with you, he would jump in front of you and them and say, no, I'm not having this. I'll defend you. That was Dusty. Tough as nails. Did everything in his power to fight the good fight and fought it. Who's the only guy that could heel out Ric Flair? Ric Flair's top heel of his day. In my estimation, we discussed this in episode 6. To me, Ric Flair's best heel of all time. Bar none, okay? But at the same time, Rick began to get over. Rick got a pop because he became popular. The Horseman became popular. But when was Rick booed the most? When he worked against Dusty. because Dusty healed him out. See, because no one wanted Dusty to lose, and it was the same idea Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Austin didn't always have that, come from behind, he's beaten down with a broken arm, but he still manages to get back up. I mean, he had that to a certain extent, but it was Austin's relentlessness. Again, had Dusty's will to win, but he was relentless. He was just intense. He was flat out, he was just, it was absolute intensity, carnage personified. He was everything, okay? He never stopped. And no one was safe. No one was safe. If you got in his way, he took you out. He didn't care who you were. Remember the night he stunned China? Austin would come to the ring if he was having a bad night, if he was ticked off. He stunned everybody in the ring. Referee, heels, babies, timekeeper, kid in the front row, guy selling popcorn up in the fifth row. Austin did it all, man. If you got in his way, you paid the price. He didn't discriminate. Austin took out his aggression on everyone that was in his path. And he got cheered, and he became even more popular for it. He was so extraordinarily believable. He was so cool. He was so over, despite the fact that he was supposed to have been a heel. Imagine the conversation that was had between he and Jim Ross when Ross said, look, you're going to be the top face. And Austin's like, like, I don't want anything to do with that, man. I'm wearing the black hat here. You know what I'm saying? I'm the antagonist. I'm the villain. Not so fast, baby. Okay? He was by far the most successful rebel in the history of that company. Okay? Again, he was very believable. He was very cool in every way. The black, the bald head, the catchphrases, the monster trucks, the skulls, everything about him just said, I have to have this guy's t-shirt. I have to pull for him. I have to be sure I get front row tickets because I want to try to shake his hand as he comes around the corner. Think about what kind of a big deal that is. Think about that, folks. Think about how Austin broke the mold for every popular heel that ever followed him. I mean, can you imagine? He tapped into something very, very visceral for fans. Something on a very primal level. Something within all of us that says, I want to be more than what I am. I want to rebel against authority and I want to do things my way. Okay, and that way, fans lived vicariously through Austin and everything that he did. You know how we like to do on the main event here, baby. We like to sometimes get a little deep, get a little psychological on you. That's where I'm coming from. Because, I'm an analyst and I'm a writer and I'm an overall geek and I like to overthink things. But think about it, folks. The reason he's over, the reason he's been over for so many years, when people look at Austin, they say, I want to be that guy. One day. Just give me one day. How many times have you made the joke as a wrestling fan that, man, I just want to enter the room to the glass breaking. Just one time. Just let the glass break one time. Let me come out to this music. Let me jump up on my desk. Let me jump up on the cash register. Wherever it is your job is, man. Jump up, throw those arms up, shake that head back and forth, flip off everyone around you, and then toss me a beer. How many times have you said that? How many times have you envisioned yourself doing that? If you haven't envisioned yourself doing that, I got bad news for you. You're not a pro wrestling fan. Sorry. Turn your card in at the front door. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for playing. See you, bye. It's the truth, folks. I mean, Austin brings that out in people. To this day, he still brings that out. He could be the most jaded fan in the audience. The moment the glass breaks, he's on his feet. Out of respect, out of adoration, out of commitment to cheering for the best in the company, to showing that guy, look, you did a lot to entertain me back in the day. Okay, you made me love this company. You made me love this business. I salute you. That's a big deal. You think Austin doesn't know that? You think he doesn't appreciate the well wishes that he's received over the years? You think he doesn't appreciate the outpouring of love and affection he's received from WWE Faithful? It continues to this day. People love Austin. That guy could do no wrong. Remember when he went and jobbed to Brock Lesnar? A lot of people had a lot of stuff to say about that. Austin said, I'm not doing it. Bye. See ya. Took off. Okay? I was one of the guys at the time that supported him 100%. Now, Rocky comes out, cuts that promo talking about, Austin took his ball and went home, something that was mimicked later with Punk. We'll get into that a little bit here. But I had Austin's back. I was one of those guys that said, no. Austin's got a point. Brock's a force of nature. This is true. But to beat an established guy? I mean, just like that? Come on, people. I mean, I've seen a lot of things as a pro wrestling fan. We all have. But to expect the number one guy in the company to do the job to a guy that has yet to even prove himself, are you kidding me? I mean, it can't happen. It just can't happen. And if it does, you destroy everything that was built. You could argue the fact that you would destroy everything that was built for Austin to that point. Think about what kind of a big deal that is. Think about that. Think of all the work that went into getting Austin to the point that he was at. The work that he put in himself. Now, he didn't go print his own t-shirts in WWE, obviously. But he's the one that put himself on the map. He's the one that came out with the attitude with the Austin 316. He's the one that came out and cut those incredible promos. He's the one that came out through all those stunners. He's the one that came out and gave his blood, sweat, and tears to entertain that crowd. This man didn't do that. He did that himself. And all that's going to be put asunder? All that's going to be torn down for Brock Lesnar? No disrespect intended to Brock Lesnar. I believe Austin would have done business with Brock. But to job to him just like that? People, think about this. Take a moment and reflect back about that. What would we be saying about that today? I mean, honestly, who's on the rise right now? Now, how many people want to see John Cena get pinned by Dean Ambrose on Raw? How many people want to see it happen pay-per-view? Everybody? Therein lies another big difference between Austin and Cena. And again, we can get into that stuff in a later program at a later time. But Austin in his day was it. There was no getting over on him, okay? And they want Brock Lesnar to get over on him. But again, folks, what are we talking about here? We mentioned Vince. That leads us directly to the top feud in the history of that company. Okay? Bar none. Shawn versus Bret was great. Undertaker versus Mankind, one of the best. Yes, can't deny that. Okay? But when it comes to the top feud of all time in that company, Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, baby. The feud with Vince, the most epic rivalry in the history of WWE. Bret versus Shawn, like we said, couldn't top it, especially in terms of popularity and making money. This one, you know why? Because there was no personal animosity between Vince and Austin. They both saw a prime opportunity to make a truckload of cash, and they did. I mean, Bret Hart has said himself in the past, how much more money could they have made? How many more great matches could they have had if he and Shawn could have just gotten over themselves and just done business and let the past be the past and stop letting their attitudes and personalities get in the way? See? I mean, Austin and Vince didn't have that problem. And this feud had everything that it took. Revenge, intensity, rebelling against the boss, carving out your own path. Again, these are all things that fans can relate to. How many times have you wanted to flip off your boss and tell them to go to hell? How many times? Because you're just sick of the nonsense, the everyday grind, the ridiculous, the politics, the just insanity that gets fed to you from a corporate level, folks. That's enough to make you want to put your fist through the wall. Okay? I mean, it's the same with Austin's character. He had had enough, and he was sick of it, and he was ready to fight back. And he wasn't going to let anybody or anything stand in his way or even begin to slow him down. That's the love that people have for Austin. That's what they saw in Austin. That's what they wanted for themselves. Let's never forget, folks, and we've said on the program many times before, professional wrestling is an escape from reality. The only way that the business has worked from day one and continues to work to this day is that you as a fan are able to suspend your belief of reality. You're able to suspend the knowledge that what you're seeing is a fictional reality. Get rid of your disbelief. Just let it go and enjoy the show, man. Just sit back and be entertained. Be willing to allow yourself to get sucked in. Austin's one of those guys that could suck you in, man. He could. He was very good at that. He could bring you in. And it didn't take much. The glass breaking. The most iconic music, by the way, in the history of the business. If very, very few could ever compare to it or match that. There's intensity just in the opening note. And it fit Austin to a T. But that's what Austin did. He was able to draw you in. The feud with him and Vince was able to draw you in. But let's go back, folks. Go back again to this. What makes it work? What makes the Stone Cold persona work? What made it work before Stone Cold, and what makes it work since Stone Cold? Think about it, folks. The idea of the rebel, okay? The man that can change the world. The idea of that lone man, that one voice of opposition that can be heard and can make a difference, is an idea that has existed, again, before Austin and after. It's just that Steve made it more popular than anyone else. He made the more money off of it. He did. Okay? Stone Cold represented the idea of the lone revolutionary. That one guy, remember the kid in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square? That's what Austin was. He was that one guy that said, I'm not putting up with this. No, this is not happening. You'll have to go through me. What did he tell Bret? You'll have to kill me to be finished with me. Okay? That's who Austin was. That's what people responded to. So, the Stone Cold effect. What are we talking about today's time? Who's some modern day examples of that ideology? That rebel? That lone voice of opposition? I got two names for you. These are good ones. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Punk is often referred to as the Austin of his time, and with very good reason, okay? For all you Punk haters out there, rewind for a second. Let go of the way that Punk left. Okay? Just for a minute. We can bash him later. It's all good. But let go of that for just a second. Okay? Punk was the anti-authority figure for a new generation. Okay? He was the one that fans wanted to see work. He was the one. Okay? He was the one that, let's be honest about it, when fans talked about their dream match of all time, they talked about CM Punk versus Stone Cold. Why? Not just because of what they could do in the ring against each other, because they're both great hands, obviously, but also because of their personalities, which were very, very similar. Why? Because Punk was the renegade. Punk was the voice of opposition. Punk was that rebel. Okay? He was the maverick. He was all those things that Austin was. He truly was. Okay? People wanted to see them work a match. They still do. There's a rumor going around recently about Austin training for a possible match at WrestleMania 31, blah, 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 blah. I got a lot of respect for Austin. If you can't tell that by now, then please turn this off and move on with the rest of your day. Okay? I do. But if Austin were to come back, it's going to be on his terms, when he wants to. And I got to be honest with you, the clock's ticking. You think he doesn't know that? You think he's not perfectly happy being outside the ring? Of course he misses it. He was a pro wrestling lifer. In many ways, he still is. He always will be. Okay? Of course, he misses the ring. Does that mean it's a good idea for him to get back in it? Maybe not for him. No. That's his call. Rumors or not, if the guy wants to work out, get himself or keep himself in shape, you know what? Fine. It's just that idea that people are just so obsessed with Austin getting back in the ring and against Punk. But again, a lot of that was fueled when Punk dropped the pipe bomb in 2011. That's where a lot of that idea came from. It was there already, but it really caught fire when Punk did. Because Punk became that guy. He became that guy that took the place of Austin in a lot of respects. Do you see what I'm saying there, folks? That's no disrespect meant to Steve, but look at it this way. For fans that maybe didn't get to see Austin work, or that there's a lot of time passed, they've maybe forgotten the overall impact that he had, Punk represented that. He was a modern day Stone Cold. He was. Okay? Punk was, in fact, so good at being Stone Cold that you could argue that he had his moments of being maybe a little bit better. Please no hate mail. Just trying to make a point. Punk was very, very good at what he did. Punk saw the one thing that Austin saw. Okay, people talk about guys that have it. The reason you have it, the reason a guy has it to begin with, is he's able to look out into a crowd and find that one thing. He can find that one thing that will get him over above everything else. He was able to look out into the crowd and say, I know how to get him. I know how to get him. I can do it. I can get these guys. Totally. I can get them to buy into what I'm selling. That was the beauty of the art of getting over for both Austin and Punk. It was a trait they shared. It's a trait that every top guy has. It's that intangible, that thing you can't define, that thing that clearly connects the top guy to the audience in some form or fashion. He is able to look out into the crowd and say, I got him. I can do this. Just give me the microphone. Get out of my way. Let me work. That's what Austin had. That's what Punk had as well. That's what we're talking about. That's why the comparisons between the two guys were just crazy insane and still are to this day. There's rumors going around right now, something about Stephanie's going to allow Punk to come back. I mean, think about all the stuff that's happened since Punk left to begin with. Okay? There's always going to be a desire to see Punk come back, just like there will be with Austin and still is to this day. And I happen to believe a lot of that has to do with the persona that they both share. Okay? The idea that there's this guy, and you know what? I'm not buying into anything you preach. I'm not drinking your Kool-Aid. I'm one of them. Okay? I'm one of the fans. I'm one of the regular people. That's who I am. Take your corporate nonsense and ram it, okay? Because I got nothing to do with any of that garbage. I'm my own man, and I will not fall for your nonsense. That's what they share, okay? Daniel Bryan, where's he come into play in all this? Okay, think about that. Much the same way Bryan was portrayed as the chief anti-authority figure in that company, the guy that dared to question the boss and rage against the machine. He was the one that fans rallied behind because why? Because they wanted to see him succeed, despite the fact that he was told he would not make it. He was told he would not make it. Think, folks. Like Punk, like Austin. You won't make it, Daniel. You're not big enough. You're not marketable enough. You don't have what it takes. Like Punk, like Austin. That's the Stone Cold effect. Overcoming the critics, overcoming the naysayers, overcoming every single obstacle that stands in your way. Okay? Doing everything necessary to not only get over, but to get over bigger than anyone else in the entire company. That's what it is. And the Stone Cold effect for fans of that generation, my generation, and the generation coming up now, is exactly the same. It's 100% the same. The Stone Cold effect is this. We want Austin. That's it. And if it can't be Austin, give us the closest thing. Fans want that. You tell me you don't want that, you're lying. Every fan wants that. How many times during the most boring part of Monday Night Raw have you, in your head, been clamoring for that glass to shatter, been begging for that glass to break and for Austin to come out and cause utter destruction? Okay? Now, is that going to happen now, right today? No, probably not. Probably not. Would Austin have fun doing it? Yeah, for sure. But Austin, as we said before, is in many ways a lifer. Austin is one of those guys that loves the business and loves the business to the point that he is selfless about the business. Austin could have come back anytime he wanted to. He could have said, screw the acting thing, screw the TV thing, I don't care about any of this, I want to get back in the business. Okay? And you know what? WWE could use him. Tell me they couldn't use him. Right now, today. The next time you watch Raw, and 2 hours in, you're sitting there going, oh, God. I mean, honestly, you think they can't use him now? Obviously, they could, okay? But Austin has too much respect for himself, for the business, and for the guys that are there now. Man, Austin can out-pop the entire locker room today. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything, man. Just come back, break the glass, come out, do the salute, drink the beer, and leave. And he out-pops everybody. Try following that. You can't. Easy answer, man. You can't do it. You can't follow that. You never could, and you can't now, and you never will be able to in the future. That's what we're talking about here, folks. That's what we're talking about here. That's the Stone Cold effect. If you can't give me Austin, give me the next best thing. You got CM Punk? I take him. I take him. Take him all day, every day, twice on Sunday. Okay? Punk's gone. Who you got? Bryan? I take him. I take him every day, 3 times on Sunday. Because he's that guy. Do you see what I'm getting at, folks? This character, more than any other sort of persona, more than any other sort of character in the history of that company, tends to get over. Gets over to the moon. Maybe more so than any that we've seen, maybe ever seen from that company. The rebel, the anti-authority figure, the maverick, the loner, all wrapped into one. Fans love that character. They love that character in pop culture. They love him in the movies, in TV. Jack Bauer on 24. I mean, Jack Bauer, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. Jack Bauer is the biggest Austin mark I've ever seen in my entire life. It's true, man. I mean, that's Stone Cold on a TV show, baby. That's what that is. Fights against the system, okay? Does what needs to be done. Does whatever's necessary. That's Austin, okay? Movies, we see it all the time in Hollywood. Just the idea of that guy that just doesn't take crap off anybody, answers to no one, does whatever it takes to get the job done. That's Stone Cold. Stone Cold, folks, you can't say this enough. It can't be overstated. Not now, not ever. Stone Cold had more of an impact on the business and on that company as a whole than anyone else in the history of that company. You're looking at me right now. You're looking at my picture, listening to this podcast, and you're thinking, this guy's high on crack. Maybe. Why are you thinking that? Because of Hulk Hogan. Because Hulk Hogan was such a gigantic mega star. Crossover star in every sense of the word. He crossed the boundaries. He got into pop culture. He got into the American consciousness. Okay? He's the guy that crossed over and did it better than anybody else did, with the exception of The Rock now, to the modern era. Okay? So you're saying, Tom, how can you ignore Hogan? I'm not ignoring Hogan. Okay? But of everything that's said about Hogan, of all the buzz on Hogan, as much as people love Hulk and what he did for that company and for the business as a whole, and he did, okay, we cannot forget that Hogan has a lot of baggage. Okay, people love to jump up and smile and worship him now, but before he came back, maybe not so much, okay? I mean, let's be straight about it, folks. Let's just be flat out straight about it here. Honestly. I mean, Hogan's got a lot of baggage. Hogan has baggage Austin doesn't have, okay? Austin left over the Brock Lesnar thing. Austin left because he was protesting. He was protesting the fact that Brock Lesnar was going to get over on him, an established guy. You want to compare that to the incredible amount of baggage that Hulk Hogan has? Folks, there's no comparing the two. For my money, Austin made the biggest impact on that company. Why? Why? Think about it. Okay? When Hogan left, they recovered. They did. Took a while, but they did. When Austin left, have they recovered? Have they recovered? You look at it and you say, wow, look at all the pay-per-views. Look at WWE Network. Look at the merchandise deals. Look at everything they're doing. Look at their presence, their strong presence on TV, the money they make as a company. Look at the talent that they have, that they still have, that they're signing to this very day in NXT. Look at everything they accomplished. Travel the world. The most well-known pro wrestling company in the history of the industry. They're it. They're the top dog, or the end-all be-all. Okay? What do you mean they didn't recover? Have they recovered since Stone Cold left? Think about that, folks. I'm just debating the point here. I just want to open it up for discussion. Have they recovered? Have they? Is John Cena your idea of a recovery? And I'm just throwing the question out there. Maybe he is. If he is, so be it. But I don't know from my own perspective if I actually see that. Okay? I think Stone Cold left an indelible mark on that company that will never be duplicated again. And despite who they throw at the top spot, despite who they build up, people will want Stone Cold, and that's who they want. People want to recreate those times. Now, can you? Of course not. That's the killer here, man. There's only one Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can't duplicate it. You can't do anything to get those years back. Those years are over. We all had fun. We had a blast. It's over, though. Got to move on. Okay? Got to move on. And I understand that totally. But fans want Stone Cold Steve Austin. They got CM Punk. That was a nice replacement for a while. Daniel Bryan was a nice replacement for a while, too. But they still want Stone Cold Steve Austin. Who you got now? Who you got now, folks? One name. Dean Ambrose. Think about it. Why is Dean so hot? Why is Dean so hot? Because he's hailed by many as the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, the next Maverick, the guy to inhabit that airspace, that very valuable airspace in that company that's reserved for that one guy. Okay? The one guy that can look out into that crowd and say, I can get him. I got him right now, Jack. Give me the mic. Get the hell out of my way. That's what we're talking about, folks. That's Dean. Is Dean that guy? A lot of people say he is. I believe that if there's anybody in that company that has more of a chance of getting to that spot than Dean Ambrose, I'd love for you to show me who it is, because I have no idea who it can be. If there's one guy that's meant to get there, if he's meant to get there, Dean just started. People want to talk about his indie career. People love to talk about Jon Moxley. Oh, Moxley this, Moxley that. No disrespect intended. If you were a fan of Dean before he got to the company, more power to you. But no one ran around calling Steve Austin Stunning Steve Austin when he was wearing the skulls, did they? They called him Stone Cold because that's the name he's making money on. Okay? Jon Moxley's making money as Dean Ambrose. Do you see where I'm going with this, folks? Out of respect to what he's doing right now, I call the guy Dean Ambrose. I don't call the Big Show the Giant. I'm just trying to make a point here. You can agree to disagree with me all day long. Totally fine. Cesaro is Cesaro to me. Okay? Just trying to make a point. Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn. He's not El Generico. He's just not. Now, having said all that, if I can get sidetracked for just a second, like that ever happens here, all the crazy support that fans have for the indie stars, okay, that stuff's carrying over to NXT. And with any luck, that support from NXT will carry over to the main roster. There's been some bumps along the way. The biggest success stories of NXT so far have been, of course, the Wyatt family and the Shield. The biggest success stories. And there could be more along the way, we hope. Okay? There could be some more. People think the Zayn's ready right now. I disagree. But that's just me. People want him caught up as soon as possible. People are all over Fergal Devitt. Okay? And with good reason. The guy's an incredible worker. Incredible talent. Okay? But one step at a time. One step at a time. Look how long it took the Shield to get to where they were. Look how long it took the conversation to become about Dean Ambrose. We were talking about Roman Reigns. We still are. But now we're talking more about Dean than ever because Roman's on the shelf. Dean's going to get the opportunity to shine. And in my opinion, for my money, Dean will shine in that anti-authority maverick role. He will shine as that lone voice of opposition against the authority of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. He will shine as that guy that all the rest of the locker room looks to. Okay, because he doesn't care what he says. He doesn't care what he does. If you get in his way, he's taking you out. I'd like to see Dean Ambrose clear the ring. Of everyone. Babyfaces included. I'd love that. I would love that. I'd love to see him come in like a powder keg and just clear house. I'd love to hear his music hit in the middle of a match he has nothing to do with and come out and just clear house like Austin used to do. You want to get Ambrose over? You want to get him some of that Austin pop? Let him do that a few times. And then after he clears the ring of whoever was in the match, let him put a steel chair in the middle of the ring and say, I'm not leaving till I get Seth Rollins. Is Dean Ambrose the next Stone Cold Steve Austin? Came up through the system after his indie circuit run in NXT, okay? Came up through the Shield, did everything right, said everything right, did all the right things. He's awesome, okay? There's nothing about the guy that doesn't work. Everything about him works on every single level. And now, only now, are we having the conversation about Dean Ambrose and his potential future as the top guy in that company? Is he the next Stone Cold Steve Austin? Okay? Think about this. Much in the same way as Michael Jordan in the NBA, fans are waiting for the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. Every top star that comes along after Austin is compared to him. It was the same with Kobe Bryant. It was the same with LeBron James. Is he the next Michael Jordan? Is this guy the next Stone Cold Steve Austin? People want that feeling back, that euphoria, those days of the glass breaking and of the crowd screaming and of that face, that attitude. My God, all Austin had to do was just scowl at you and you knew that the guy was up to no good, that he meant business. And that, as Jim Ross so eloquently put it, that business was about to pick up. Okay? And think about this. Let's show some mad respect to Jim Ross, who was the voice of Stone Cold's career in that company. He was the guy that narrated. If the book is called Stone Cold Steve Austin, then it's narrated by Jim Ross. Jim Ross wrote the book, and it stars Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's what we're talking about, folks. And JR was the perfect voice for that character. He's the guy that brought all the emotion, all the intensity, everything necessary to get you into the character, to get you ready, to prep you for his arrival. Because you knew he was coming, right? You just were holding your breath, waiting for the moment that Austin hit the ring. You knew it was going to come, man. And you knew it was coming because Jim Ross helped you get ready. That's what it's all about here, folks. Austin had help. Austin didn't do anything by himself. Don't misunderstand me here. I think he'd probably be the first one to admit that to you. He had support along the way. Ross was one of the guys that supported him. Okay? Austin wasn't winning matches against the Invisible Man or against the Broomstick. I mean, guys did the job to Austin. Okay? So Austin had help along the way. Yes, he had a lot of help along the way. But Austin is the one, because again, he had the it factor. He had that one intangible. He had that thing, again, folks, that a guy is able to look out at the crowd and pull you out. I remember going to see Raw. Been to a countless Raws and SmackDowns over the years, of course, but I remember going to see Raw, and Shawn was still an active wrestler, and it was, I want to say, right before the DX reunion with Hunter. But Shawn comes out. He gets up in the corner, and he just looks out into the audience. And I'm way back here, okay? But the way he looked out into the crowd, it was like he looked directly at me. Seriously. And I mean, I know better. He doesn't know, who am I? I'm just one guy in the crowd. He doesn't know who I am. See what I'm saying? But the way he made eye contact and he smiled, and it's as if to say, I got you, man. I got you. Let's have some fun. That's what Shawn had. Okay? That's what Austin had. Dean has that as well, I believe. I believe that Dean has that intangible. That he's able to look at you and you know that he gets it. And he looks at you and he has that ability to say without speaking a word, come on, man, let's have some fun. Sit back and enjoy it. I'm going to make this memorable for you. And he goes in the ring and kills it. Dusty had it. Rick had it. The greats of the business had it. Oh, folks, we're going to do a whole episode on Dean Ambrose. Don't even worry about that. I got stuff in the works. Hey, I'm always planning, man. I'm just trying to make the show as good as possible. You get that, right? But folks, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he broke the mold in a lot of ways, but he also became the mold, okay? He was the guy that everyone else wanted to be. I remember when I broke into the business, just to get this point out to you here as we begin to wrap things up. I remember when I got into the business, and the promoter I worked for at the time said that one of his biggest problems was that everyone in the locker room wanted to wear black. They all wanted to wear black, and he was trying to get them out of that because he wanted different sorts of personalities. He wanted colors. He wanted, okay, these guys wear black. You're wearing neon. You're wearing red. You see, just sort of a mix of personalities and characters and talents and traits. But the problem is everyone wanted to be Stone Cold. Everyone wanted to wear black. Everyone wanted to rebel against authority. Everyone wanted to be the renegade. I want to be Stone Cold. Are you kidding me right now? I used to shave my head. Not lying. I didn't look as cool as Austin did, mind you, but I mean, I tried. Everyone wants to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you don't, you're out of your mind. To this day, the guy has more fun than anybody I've ever seen. He's more entertaining. He's as entertaining now, I think, as he was back in the day. Because that's Austin. And what are we talking about here? The Stone Cold effect. Okay? Why was Punk so successful? Because Punk's character was essentially him with the volume turned way up. Same with Austin. Same with Bryan. It will be the same with Ambrose. Trust me on this. We are on the eve of seeing a guy that could become the top guy in that Stone Cold Steve Austin role, or he could become a very, very strong number 2 in the Roddy Piper role. Why do I say that? Because you cannot forget about Roman Reigns. You can in the short term because he's on the shelf. But make no mistake about it, that company has faith in him. Okay? They believe in that guy, and they're going to give him the shot. And if he can pull it off and he can make it work, he will be the top guy. But Dean will always be that guy threatening in the very immediate background to take over. We could be talking about Roman versus Dean much in the same way we're talking about Austin versus The Rock. Let's think about that. How's that sound to you? Sounds pretty good to me. Okay? The future. The Stone Cold effect is still in play. Okay? If Dean quits today, goes back to Ring of Honor, decides to hang it up and become a monk somewhere in a monastery, lives out the rest of his life worshiping God, the fans will be left saying, man, we want Stone Cold. Give us Stone Cold. Seriously. And at some point, that company will deliver. Is it intentional? It's a good question, right? I wonder sometimes, is that intentional? Is that company trying to recapture the magic that Austin left behind? Notice how John Cena's name has been mentioned in a while here? Because John can't touch that. John's a different sort of creature altogether. He can't touch that. Okay, it takes a very special breed to do what Austin did, to carry himself that way, to come from that aspect, to come from that point of view. It takes a very, very special talent. Not every guy is able to do that. Austin is, Punk is, Bryan is, and I believe Ambrose is as well. Time will tell, folks. Time will tell. That's it, folks. This has been a blast. Hope you've enjoyed this. Okay? As always, please feel free. Follow me on Twitter. Get the conversation going at TomClarkBR. Hit me up on email, TomClarkBR@yahoo.com. Okay, let's get some discussion happening, folks. Give me your feedback. Give me your stuff. What you got? What you got? Just to let you know about a couple of things in the works here in the immediate future for the show. Yes, a Dean Ambrose show is being planned. I've been talking to somebody about that. It may be in direct correlation to another subject that I have going in the back of my head in terms of sex symbols in the business. We shall see about that one. Okay, let's see what happens. Also, we're going to be talking about the old days of the NWA, my favorite topic. My favorite topic, old school, baby. So yes, that's going to be coming up soon. Also, the Monday Night Wars. Have we talked about it too much? I submit to you that, yes, we have. But we're probably going to do one anyway, okay? What am I if somebody that can't cover all his bases and, talk about as much stuff as we possibly can here on the program? So yeah, we're probably going to do a Monday Night War episode at some point. But just to let you know, there's some work being done here behind the scenes, folks, to make this show as entertaining as possible. Hopefully to keep you involved and keep you coming back for more. That's what we want here, folks. That's all we want. Again, please feel free to check me out on Bleacher Report, JBL's Layfield Report, WaltCulture.com, and the Camel Clutch blog. Please lend your support. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you to everyone that listened, who's downloaded, subscribed. It's always well appreciated. Folks, that's been the main event this time around. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.